Hello there. These panels, oh boy, I promised myself I'd make them back in March 2024, and here we are in 2025. They've been done for a week now, but honestly it still feels way too long. I initially planned this as a gift, but hey, I never said when I'd deliver them, so I guess I'm still on time technically. Finding images for this project turned out to be a bigger challenge than I expected. I needed a vibrant microphone design and a flaming guitar. But after scouring the internet, I couldn't find anything I liked. Then I decided to try the AI generators. And let me tell you, that changed everything. I used LimeWire AI generator to create some amazing results. The only downside? The images came out in low resolution. That's when I discovered the Sticker Mule AI upscaler, which saved the day. So I got from this to this. And then from this to this. For the frames, I started with thin boards that I had lying around. These were rough, so sanding them was a must. At first I tried sanding by hand, but after a recent hand sanding session on another project, I knew these many pieces of wood would be too much for my hands to handle. Enter the Sander Grabber 2 Quintillion. Okay, not an official product, but it's my makeshift solution. All I had to do was clamp my sander down and voila, hands-free sanding. Using this setup, I lightly sanded the boards all around, making them smooth and splinter-free. With the boards ready, I cut a few test pieces to figure out how to turn them into frames. I used my table saw to create simple joints and assembled a small frame using a leftover screws I had lying around. Despite my lack of expertise, the frame turned out decent enough. However, I decided to experiment and try making similar joints with my router. Without a proper router lift on the table, setting everything up was quite a frustrating ordeal. Honestly, it felt like I was wasting time because in the end I didn't even like how it turned out. On the bright side, I took a day to make a proper router lift for my janky table. That's progress, right? After some reflection, I realized the thin frames weren't going to work for my plan, so I scrapped everything and switched to thicker, wider boards, which thankfully were pre-sanded and ready to use. I remeasured everything. Let's say just my initial math wasn't great, but somehow it worked out. I measured and marked the boards to cut, and copied the markings onto other ones with a small square. I needed 4 boards of each size for the frames. When checking, it looked okay, so I proceeded to make the joints. That I again tested on some scraps. Testing the joints on the scrap wood revealed a small issue. My stop block wasn't clamped tightly enough, which caused slight misalignment. Nothing catastrophic, but it required some creativity to fix. Using my AliExpress corner clamps, I joined the frames together. But then I decided to strengthen them further, so I cut 8 45-degree corner pieces on my miter saw and secured them to the frames. Finally, I decided to add a midsection to each frame for extra support. I then sanded the frames, focusing especially on the corners to ensure they wouldn't damage the towers during assembly. When it came to folding the corners of the towers, I decided to go with straight creases. I ended up making the folds on the bottom shorter sides, but in hindsight, they would look much better on the longer sides. This way the folds would be less visible when the panels were hung, a good note for the next time. So anyway, I started blasting. Honestly, my air stapler was a lifesaver compared to using a handheld one. Of course, it couldn't be too easy. The connector popped out occasionally, but that's just part of adventure, right? It saved my hands a ton of strain. I went through a lot of staples, but it all came together nicely. Midway through, I had another snag with my muff. The mid stretches had to be temporarily removed so I could properly staple the towels. Since the stretchers were originally rescrewed into the side of the panels, I had to find a new way to reinstall them. Enter my pocket hole jig. Thank you, AliExpress. With some effort and a lot of strength, I managed to get everything back in place. The panels were no longer bowed and finally looked solid. For the functional part of the panels, I used a slice of rock wool for soundproofing. Working with rock wool requires gloves and a face mask. It's not the kind of thing you want in your lungs or on your skin. Luckily, my panels were perfectly sized for half a roll of rock wool. After cutting it to the length, I adjusted the thickness to fit the frames. The leftover wool was just enough for the second panel, so nothing went to waste. To secure the wall, I switched to my handheld stapler with wider staples, which worked much better for this job. The final step was adding a backing to the panels. This keeps the rock wool contained and prevents any mess or harm. I laid out the backing material, folded it as needed, and carefully cut it to size with a wallpaper knife. Once it was ready, I grabbed my staple and started blasting again. And there you have it, the finished panels. Both of them followed the same process, so the results were identical. Honestly, I'm really happy with how they turned out, even if it took me way too long to complete them. Not even Christmas could light a fire under me to finish them sooner. I really hope that my musical friends will love these as much as I enjoyed making them. Thank you all for watching. If you like this project, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!